Hey guys, let's see if we're live. Let's see if we're live. I think so. Hey guys, what is up? It's Dusty here, and welcome back to another crypto live stream. And actually, I just want to show you guys a couple of clips that have surfaced around the interwebs that's got everybody talking right now. Because Sam Bankman-Fried, the ex-CEO of FTX, obviously, was asked a couple of very, very tough, very difficult questions. And the fact that he cannot answer them and he's just squirming around is... I'm not sure if I should call it funny or just rather very freaking interesting. So I want to share that with you guys, but I should also add, I have a couple of live streams coming up today. I don't think all of my live streams will be seen by you guys, which is why I recommend all of you to check back on the channel today, especially a couple of times, because I think right after I end this live stream, I might start another one on a different topic. A couple of crypto hacks have gone around and a couple of pieces need to be covered. The only problem is if I do it all in one live stream, not many people will watch this part first and then that part, so it needs to be separate, basically, videos. All right. However, let us dive right into these videos here. It's a couple minutes long. Because, oh boy, it's crazy. Guys, I keep sharing with you guys. I don't want to share more stuff regarding FTX. But when you're seeing this guy struggle so hard, I don't know. It just seems like I have to keep sharing this, guys.
One of the reasons FTX went bankrupt is because FTX deposits were used to pay Alameda's creditors. Carolyn Ellison said you knew about that. Is that true?
You know, best I can tell, Alameda did have a big position open on FTX. That position, I think, was, very over collateralized a year ago. There is a total market collapse and, specifically a large correlated collapse in its assets, over the last month and to some extent over the last year that, threatened that position quite a bit. And I think that's, as best I understand, a lot of what happened there.
I am no cryptocurrency expert. I'm no finance expert, but I don't think you answered my question. I was asking, did you know that FTX deposits were used to pay off Alameda creditors?
I don't know of FTX deposits being used to pay off Alameda creditors. Are you, which creditors are you referring to?
And there, honestly, again, we have to check it from both sides. It's not a completely unusual answer from his side to say, well, which creditors exactly, because it's a pretty broad question, However, the question was quite clear, and it should have been a yes or no, or I don't know, which he kind of continues on the path of. But again, the reason the interviewer has caught him here, most likely, is because the CEO of Alameda, which he's been trying to throw under the bus, basically his ex-girlfriend, she basically said that he should have known, and he must know, and he knows. And he can now not state, nah, I have no idea about that. All he can say is, I vaguely know, or I've... However, well... did they use the funds? Yes or no? And he's saying, well, which creditors? It's a logical question because he might be confused. But that would basically mean yes, but it depends on which ones, right? I mean, just let's keep it teaming off for a little bit.
Which creditors are you referring to?
Carolyn Ellison said that you all knew.
Which creditors are you referring to?
Carolyn Ellison said that you all knew that these funds were put into Alameda. They were the funds owned by your depositors.
So I can't speak for who knew what. A lot of the customers on FTX did have, borrows either, in dollars or Bitcoin or euros.
But as you know, the FTX terms of service tell the people who signed up, none of the digital assets in your account are the property of or shall be or may be loaned to FTX trading. But you're saying that happened.
My understanding is a few things happened. The first is there is a margin trading facility on FTX by which users can lend out funds, by which other users borrow funds. And so there are explicit cases where there is, margin extended, where there is borrow lending.
If Alameda is borrowing the money that belongs to FTX depositors, that's a bright red line, isn't it?
There are a lot of cases where that's actually explicitly part of the programs and that are happening.
But not here. Here it says that the digital assets may not be loaned to FTX trading. They can't be loaned out.
There existed a borrow lending facility on FTX. And I think that's probably covered, I don't remember exactly where, but somewhere else in the terms of service.
But they'd have to approve of that. They're saying they didn't approve of it here. They're saying you approved of it.
If you rewind to the beginning of FTX, where some customers were I think in line with sort of existing relationships that they've had, at least in some cases, wiring money straight to Alameda Research in order to trade on FTX.
So you do know, and you did know, that FTX deposits were being funneled to Alameda. So you do know, and you did know, that FTX deposits were being funneled to Alameda.
So I was vaguely aware that that was how some wires were being sent in the first place.
Didn't that set off alarm bells in your head?
So there were a lot of people who were involved in that process. And look, I really deeply wish that I had taken like a lot more responsibility for understanding what the details were of what was going on there. I knew that legal was involved. I knew that other groups at the company were involved, that there were agreements drafted up.
But you're ultimately responsible.
And ultimately, absolutely, I should have been on top of this, and I feel really, really bad and regretful that I wasn't. And a lot of people got hurt, and that's on me.
Here's what Mark Cuban has to say about that.
Yep.
He said, if I were him, I'd be afraid of going to jail for a long time.
At the end of the day, it's not my call what happens, and the world will judge me as it will.
Are you worried about going to jail?
There are a lot of things that are worrying me right now. And, as best as possible, I'm trying to focus on what I can do going forward to be helpful and, let whatever, regulatory and legal processes are happening play out as they will.
I do want to move on, but just finally on this.
These are interesting questions, to say the least. I must admit, yet again, we have to look at it from both sides here. This guy made a couple of goofy mistakes or is fraudulent. It doesn't matter. He messed up, and we are paying the price for it. Now, you cannot say that this guy is just saying anything purely to be helpful, because the way he's phrasing his sentences mostly looks as if, well, there's either an ulterior motive or it's just basically to save his own ass. We don't know. It could be that he's trying to be helpful without being incriminating. It could be, but the evidence kind of suggests against that. It really, really does. Again, you can also say from another perspective, maybe he's just like, well, I won't go to jail. I'll just tell whatever I think. I'll tell whatever I'm thinking of right now, but all of it doesn't really make a lot of sense. I'm not so sure why he's going on these press calls regardless. But before we move on, guys, make sure you all press that like button if you haven't done it yet. We have about 70 people watching. I know not a notification went to the majority of people because I'm doing a stream, first of all, pretty early, and it's actually the 4th video in 24 hours, and then you get this type of shenanigans. But just make sure you press that freaking like button. It just helps out a little bit. Let me quickly check it out. I think so. That's why we didn't get any notifications popped up there, I think. Yeah, that must have been it, but yeah. So just make sure you press that freaking like button. Now let's move on with the last of the sort.
Yes or no question. Finally on this is really a yes or no question.
Yep.
Carolyn Ellison says you knew that FTX funds were being funneled to Alameda. Did you know that?
I knew that there is an open margin position there and that involved
I know, but that's not what I'm
borrow.
asking. If she's in court and you're in court and she's under oath and you're under oath and you're asked, did you know that these funds were being funneled to Alameda, what is your answer?
I did not know that there is any improper use of customer funds.
Finally on this is really a...
So this is, again, it's a save my own ass type of tactic, but I understand it. You got to think from the criminal mind here, kind of. Oh, okay, alleged. Because at the end of the day, if he says, yeah, I knew, people are going to catch him straight up, right? Now, the situation is getting interesting. So Jesse Powell, for example, says Sam Bankman-Fried is completely full of shit about how margin trading works, which he's trying to explain as to how the funds were used, right? He's saying that the whole exchange operated on a net account equity model, and anybody could borrow anything in any amount from client funds or from nowhere. And that's not how it should work. Another guy said, at least Rand asked him whether or not Alameda was just taking people's money and selling fake Bitcoin, and he basically said yes. Well, he actually said not no. He just said, I have to look into that. His answer from the last question about synthetic or fake tokens confirms that as well. They had more tokens in the system than they actually had balances. So they weren't capped by lending from client balances. They were literally just printing new coins like a central bank. And obviously, at the end of the day, if you inflate every one of your numbers, that's how you can get extremely rich, extremely successful, and how you can get extremely high valuations. He's going on a little bit more of a rant. It all added up if you counted negative balances as 100% recoverable. WTF? No, dude. Borrowing 10,000 Bitcoin from client balances versus FTT at market to market is not just bad risk management, it is obfuscated fraud. The only difference between Sam Bankman-Fried and Madoff is that Madoff didn't have a token. But as far... Yeah, it's the South Park reference. I'm not sure if you guys know it. The we're sorry. Yeah. That's funny, though. That's very nice. I mean, it's nice what is nice, right? So, yeah, yesterday was actually a pretty packed little stream as well. Actually, Ben says, listen to a bit of the Sam Bankman-Fried Spaces. Kavi, Scylla, and Crypto Ran did a great job, for sure. Very impressed with Rand pressing him. Zilla obviously was going to bring the heat. Chat Long had some good questions, and Kim.com pressed him well at the end. Kim was not so happy from the perspective that it... Oh, wait a minute. So, Kim.com was not so happy that they didn't let him ask the proper questions to Sam. As again, with most interviews, the questions are not being pressed that hard upon, which is why I wanted to show you guys this little, little small clip of a couple of minutes. Just showcasing somebody actually pressing on and asking him a couple of really direct questions, where him having almost no way to go around it. All right, and again, people keep saying, and I understand it, that the full truth will never come out about the whole situation, and I understand it. If you think from the perspective of real big fraud cases and real big Ponzi schemes, who exactly is going to be the guy to uncover it all? That guy is either going to end up dead or in a lot of trouble himself as well, because they knew too much and didn't ever say. So I honestly don't think everything is going to come to light ever, but at least we might get some more pieces, piece by piece. There's actually a little piece here again, 1 minute long. Let's quickly check.
Yeah, so it sounds to me like
between futures and spot, where those were commingled, right?
That's right. Yeah, in general, balances were treated as effectively fungible with each other.
Okay, now wait. I just want to just, with that in mind, I just want to try and understand something. So I put money on, I want to deposit money into FTX. I deposit money into Silvergate Bank, which is a United States bank. I put the money into the bank. That money lands up in Alameda's bank account, right? So now you've got, let's say I take $100, I deposit $100 into FTX, but what I actually do is I'm depositing into Silvergate's account on Alameda, and the account name is Alameda. So now Alameda has $100 of my money, and then I want to buy a Bitcoin for let's say I put $20,000 in and I want to buy a full Bitcoin. The money is, tell me where the money is sitting now, though, because this is the part that I'm confused about.
Yeah, I'm not surprised you're confused, because it's confusing, and it confused me, and there were a lot of poor decisions made there, on our part.
What does that mean exactly? That was a whole nothing burger, actually. We managed to get Sam Bankman-Fried to straight up admit that FTX spot and margin hot wallets were co-mingled, including Alameda FTX account, custody, and collateral, back in a Bitcoin loan to go short, or VC invest with illiquid FTT as collateral means custody get wrecked. Yeah, so it all just kind of seems to come to a conclusion that they literally were manipulating the entire market by fraud. Was that intentional? That is difficult to say, but that's kind of what it comes down to, that indeed it was all fraud, and indeed it was just wrong from a management perspective, which caused a lot of people harm, i.e. still fraud or gross negligence with fraudulent outcome. I'm not sure what the legal term for that would be, but that's kind of what it comes down to. There's a couple more pieces. Let's quickly dive back in. I'm not sure if this is regarding Sam Bankman-Fried. This is from today. 400,000 views. Let's take a look at this. Bitboy gives the floor to this woman, assuming she has no evidence of him being a scammer. She brings up the XBT threads. He realizes that she has legitimate evidence, so he suddenly cuts her off and starts yelling that let's not talk about that one then. Let's not do that on YouTube, I guess. Ooh, okay. Yeah. let's not do that one, guys. Let's see. Ooh, let's not. I don't want to open up that book, all right? I don't want to open up that book, guys. Whew. Yeah. Oh, shit. Let's see. Yeah, I had so much stuff open, but it's all kind of mingling together as well. It's because there's just so many different pieces that are coming out. Brian Sullivan said, in his interview, Bankman-Fried throwing his former girlfriend Caroline Ellison and the Alameda hedge fund under many, many buses. It's still, as I said before, all coming together from the perspective that he's trying to blame it on them, and they're saying, no, he knew, which, again, leaves him in the position of, well, you should have known, and if you didn't know, you're pretty much stupid and still at fault. This is where I keep basically refreshing Sam Bankman-Fried to see if anything new has come out. Damn. That's interesting. Can someone... Oh, okay, this is just to get him to ask real questions. Yeah. I don't think he's going to show up on a couple of other podcasts and a couple of other places, because I think he's felt the pressure by now of people asking him severely difficult questions. This Twitter space was worst thing I've ever seen in crypto Twitter, possibly ever. Wasted 2 hours for 30,000 listeners on unprofessional, unprepared BS. That's 60,000 man hours, 7 full years. Wondering why Sam Bankman-Fried is doing interviews. The Mario Nawfal space makes it clear. The people asking questions are dumb and it makes Sam look good. Inappropriate Caroline comments, not understanding margin and market manipulation, or market makers actually. Cutting him off, all arguing Sam Bankman-Fried is running circles around these guys. And at the end of the day, that's kind of what is happening, to be truthful. Kobe says, can someone ask Sam to come up on Up Only so we can ask him real questions? These hosts are morons and don't even understand how exchanges work to ask relevant follow-ups. Yeah, I think the best way to get this done is to actually get him to go into a conversation with somebody like, for example, the Kraken head, right? So Jesse Powell, for example, or one of these guys that actually runs an exchange. I don't think CZ wants to show up and ask him questions because that might actually expose, Binance to a certain degree as well, and they might not want to do that. But the only way to get this to actually come out virtuous, I personally think, is if it's an exchange founder or somebody with really high stature, like I have a couple of friends that are high up market makers. Maybe some of those guys can actually ask the proper questions because, well, most of the people you saw in the spaces yesterday, most of the people we spoke to, most of the people doing interviews, they get some questions lined up, or they ask some people, blah, blah, blah. But when Sam Bankman-Fried gives an answer, you can't really prepare for what you have to say back to that answer. If he says, well, but I didn't know, you have to know whether or not he should know. And you have to get all the context right straight away to be able to catch him out on some BS, on anything whatsoever. So the fact that these guys had the lack of knowledge to ask those questions, it's sad, but it's also kind of logical because it's not their expertise. And so the reason Sam Bankman-Fried is not showing up for difficult podcasts or difficult news outlets or anything like that, even though they might seem difficult, is because he can then not dance around the question. Again, this, what we just showcased, was one of the only times where there was a little bit of pressure. But even then, when asked, for example, this last question about stealing funds again, well, he kind of, I think it's actually in the video number 3. He dances around it and he says, well, I kind of want to stop. I think that's the question of, do you think you're going to jail? And he says, I'm worried about a lot of things. Are you worried about going to jail? Yes or no? Are you worried about that? I worry about a lot. Are you worried about going to jail? Yes or no? It's a very simple question. And the same thing goes for if you're in court right now and Caroline says, this guy knew that this was happening to the funds. Are you saying she's lying? Or are you saying that's true, Your Honor? If Though he's like, well, let me back off here because for some reason he doesn't want to persist. Maybe because he knows no usable answer is going to come out of it. But then what's the point in interviewing him if every single answer of his is going to be this half-assed, right? When they take Bitboy, I honestly think he's not going to show up for a Bitboy show because of the fact that Bitboy, again, is going to do something similar, where he's going to really, really pressure the guy with some dirt that Sam Bankman-Fried can't deny or dance around, right? That's what I personally think. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to Deltic, the bank that claims that USDT is fully backed with 65 billion in reserves. Pretty sure that is not even 1% of what it should contain. Unbelievable how Bitboy stays in front of maybe the biggest scams in history, as this apparently is the Deltic Bank vault, maybe, or something like that. Not exactly sure on that department right there. Sam Bankman-Fried, Alameda, FTX embezzled possibly $1 billion of your fund into real estate after they knew they had insolvency hole. Yeah, it's going to be rather interesting. Let's see here. Let's keep it real. Bitboy got robbed of the first Sam Bankman-Fried interview. That was dirty. He put in legwork. Nonetheless, the content herein is why I personally hold... What? Okay, never mind. He knows I won't let him squirm. Yeah, and I honestly think that's why he is not going to be able to get himself... Wait a minute. Did this girl just block me? Wait, why am I blocked? Am I blocked or is her account deleted? Wait, what? I wonder. I've never contacted this person in my life. Why am I blocked? Oh, she just closed her profile down. Wait, what? Why? What did she do? That is always suspicious, right, in the crypto space. When somebody closes their profile, you just get, like, suspicious. It's like, what exactly is happening? And he says, good night, Crypto Wendy. Why? Yeah, the reason I covered Bitboy is because Bitboy has a lot of interesting stuff, guys. Some of you might deny it. You might call him out for some, but he's a very interesting guy. He has a lot of great sources. Oh, wait, so, actually, remember. Sorry, guys. Bitboy said, I'm going to be sharing all the details, all the text messages with Sam Bankman-Fried if he does not come on the show or give me a date, because he said he was going to come on the show. And so this is what happened. I'm going to hold off on sharing more for now. I'm going to schedule a Twitter Spaces for tomorrow with Sam Bankman-Fried. If he does, if he shows he does. If he doesn't, then we are going to do a huge evidence dump. For now, all I would do is release the convo verifying that he agreed. Again, Sam Bankman-Fried, you answering over here or nah. Yeah, a little bit of stuff. Hey, I would probably be happy to do a Twitter Spaces sometime in the next week or so. This is on, about a week ago. I'm still figuring out exactly what my schedule is and have various embargoes, etc., but should be able to do it. Okay, thank you for the response. I'm satisfied with this answer, and I'm comfortable doing the interview in the next 1 to 2 weeks. Could I share on Twitter that we have a loose agreement to hold a Twitter Spaces in the time frame? I appreciate your willingness to talk and work this out. Yep. Okay, thank you. As shows of good faith, would appreciate if you unblock me on Twitter. Done. Thank you. I look forward to speaking soon. Yeah, and why is this going so? This video is getting a ton of attention, guys. You can see everybody is sharing this. It's got 400,000 views. I don't want to talk about it if it's such a heavy accusation, but maybe I have to quickly check it out. Again, guys, I like Bitboy as a human being. I've sat with him multiple times. I think we've had dinner a couple of times as well. I'm not exactly sure if I actually did ever. I've had him on the channel, interviewed him before. And if I get the chance to interview him again, I would. Because I like the guy a lot. You know, what he does on his channel, I'm not too sure about. But it's a nice individual. He's a nice guy. Just to be honest with you guys. You know, from a personal perspective. Personal, completely personal, not business, personal perspective. Yeah, really nice guy in my opinion.
No one needs to check all the things that he has done.
No one needs to.
Where's the evidence? Let's hear it. Where's the evidence? Where's the evidence? Hey, give the evidence. Don't give the evidence. This is your moment. Prove unequivocal. Baby. Show me a new issue. Show me a new issue and say that's evidence.
All right, let's go and see, right? So, guys, we can just go and check all the evidence posted by Zach XP.
A thread from a year ago.
It doesn't matter whether it's a year ago, right?
No, hold on. When you do
Please
this,
go and check all the evidence.
okay, so you're a child molester. You're a child molester. You're a journalist.
Okay, can you let me complete now?
No, I don't have to back up with
Then
evidence.
why?
It's just something that I said.
You know what?
This woman is a child molester. She's a murderer. She's a murderer.
Look at you, you're shaking. You know when people shake? Those are psychological evidences. You know when you're wrong, you shake.
It's baseless accusations.
Damn. Whew, that is that's pretty heavy. Whew.
Okay, give it. Let's go. Get it. Let's go. This is a real winner right here. No, I will tell you, man. You have no idea what you're talking about right now. Okay, give it. Let's go. Get it. Let's go. This is a real winner right here. This is a real winner.
Hey,
I can tell you right now, you have no idea what you're talking about, man. People like you, this is the toxicity in the States, guys. I want you all to understand.
You know what people talk
This is the toxicity in the
This is what
States.
you do. You shout at them,
Yeah.
and then you try to shut them down.
Well, you try to
But you
steal
do not
our
justify
panels or
your
conference.
actions. You know, if anyone right
Go
now
ahead, let's go,
goes
Go.
to Google and searches for
Go.
Bitboy scam,
Ben,
you will find
you
all
are
the
not the
information.
father.
I want you to understand something. I want you to understand.
We are women. We don't need a father.
This is about women now? We're turning this about women? Let me tell you, you lose. You lose. Period.
No, I'm sorry. You know, just because you think someone loses doesn't mean they lose. And I'm sorry.
I think, is this person a loser?
I'm sorry, I don't even tell me how to guide me. I know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Yeah. Okay, well, why are you there if we're up here?
Okay, here's where it kind of messed up. Whenever somebody's screaming at you from the audience, don't give them a chair, all right? Or give them a chair and go slowly and start actually discussing things, but don't start going to screaming battle and then give them a chair to start screaming further, I think. That's not that smart.
Why? No, why? I want to
Whoa,
know.
what? What? What was that?
Who are you?
I don't go and fucking scam people. That's
What just happened?
A loser?
sorry, I don't even tell me how to guide me. I know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Yeah. Okay, well, why are you there if we're up here? Why? No, why? I want to know.
What?
Yeah, you what?
Why'd the guy just do a cartwheel? Okay. Peculiar. Not the first thing I would think of when doing something like that, but sure, interesting. Again, I don't know the accusations. I don't want to go too far into it. I honestly don't know, but I like the guy as an individual. That's all I know. Damn, that was funny. Ooh, it's 9 hours ago. It's got 400,000 views. That is maddening. That is insane. Holy smokes. Hey, just in the chat box real quick. Who's watching still? I've noticed the chat has gone a little bit quiet, even though we have over 100 people watching. So who's still in the chat box? Who's just lurking around? Say hi real quick. Just say hi or say something so I can see you guys are in the chat. Yes, her accusations are legitimate and backed up by facts. To see what she's talking about, paste from ZachXPT, Bitboy in your search bar. Bitboy is a grifter, and the scam projects he works with funnel money risk-free out of retail into his own pockets. What infuriates me is that scammers with power on a large platform can very, very easily knock down and discredit credible criticism and gaslight strawman people into believing they were right all along. There's no possible recourse because the respondent has no real voice. Anyway, the lady deserves a standing ovation. Most people do not have the courage to publicly confront a scammer in person. Whoever you are, thank you for trying to bring awareness to Bitboy's grift, and I hope your messaging spreads far and wide. I honestly kind of wonder what exactly he did. Maybe I should look into it. He accused us of being Sam for engagement and sent mobs of angry and desperate people into our DMs, sending death threats and pleading to get their money back from FTX, something we obviously have no control over. Autism capital, that is. What do they do? The most base citizen journalism. We are currently following the FTX saga. Please be patient. We have autism. Okay. Something we obviously have no control over. After his engagement farming was done, he moved to his next target. We asked to present evidence. He said, I don't actually have any evidence. I can't prove it, but I have strong reason to believe it's him. Paraphrasing. Embarrassment, reckless and dangerous individual who manipulated people, grief in that moment for clicks. Well, I need to take a step back and say, Bitboy actually has a lot of freaking info on Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX, and he was actually honest to the bottom of my heart here. He was warning us a couple weeks before everything actually fell down. So when I met up in London with him, which was this? beginning of November, I think. When did I go to London, guys? I think when I met up with, if you guys follow me on Instagram, you'd know, I think it was a couple weeks ago. I made some videos from there. Well, people were very excited about him because he was right. He was one of the only guys that has warned us a month before that FTX was actually going to basically pop out open because it's all one big shkabam. So I gotta admit that was the truth. Again, what's going on in the background, I don't fully know. I don't fully have the details on. I just know he's a nice individual, and that I'll keep to the bottom of my heart all the time. And the same thing goes for, did he warn us? Yes. Does he have a lot of evidence? Well, he showcased me a lot of different things, and we've spoken to multiple players that he picked out, and they were confirming his story, so I personally think that department he's done very, very well. Yeah, but it's very hard to see the bottom of the bottom in all this, right? Everybody, if you're watching this still, make sure you press that like button. We are at 46. Let's end this stream as well at 100 eventually, right? As we get to the bottom. I'm just trying to figure out exactly if there's anything I can still see that might actually be interesting. Let's quickly see our homepage over on Twitter. Maybe something just popped up. I follow a lot of people. I couldn't catch Sam on my own, so I challenged the big guns when, hey, it's me, Dev, and I complete a murder board together. There's nowhere he can hide. Hey, they teamed up, huh? Yeah. Very, very interesting. Sam Bankman-Fried is trying to find the real guy who did the FTX fraud. Sam Bankman-Fried is trying to find the real guy who did this. At the New York Times Dealbook Conference, the former FTX CEO said he just wanted to figure out what happened. Yeah, and oh, wait a minute, what's this? What will Bitboy find behind this door? Damn, okay, I hope that's a joke. I think that's a joke, right? It all looks like the messenger RNA IS transferring. Oh, never mind. Oh, I'm just reading my timeline. I thought this was like a thread.
Was suspiciously, in quote, transferred from FTX wallets after the bankruptcy filing. And there have been accusations that this is the assistance, effectively, of theft. It was suspiciously, in quote,
why is he doing that?
Transferred from.
That's creepy as shit. I'm not sure why he did that. Hey, apparently Bitcoin is legal tender in Brazil. That is peculiar. That is peculiar. That is peculiar. Yeah. Twitter is a dark place, man. If you just scroll around here for a little bit, a lot of dark stuff in there, all right? So we're not going to sit on that for too long. Guys, I think we're going to actually end the stream right here. I just wanted to cover those little clips. I know we didn't have the biggest of crowds today, but it was awesome that you guys showed up, so I really appreciate that. Again, I have to do one single live stream at least every single day, but today I have another XRP, Chainlink, and I guess Brazil type of video coming out. A couple other pieces, I think a hack and stuff like that, I will also showcase in that video. So if you guys are interested in crypto news, make sure you press the subscribe button on the channel. And again, I'll be back in a couple of hours with some juicy crypto news. So stick around for that. Hey, Dusty, when are you coming to Ireland? Well, if you tell me a place in Ireland that's pretty cool to get to, like maybe I could go there pretty soon, actually. Maybe for fun. Is there ever a crypto conference there or crypto something there? Dusty, we'll be in Dubai from 24th till New Year. No, probably not. But, yeah. Amazon make deal with Ripple. Yeah, I actually saw a little bit about that. It's not going to be some too crazy of a partnership. Ripple opening offices, apparently. Okay, I'll be taking a look at that as well. Exchanges that don't show all their liabilities, will people still use them? Well, at the end of the day, it's kind of hard for an exchange to publish all their liabilities and every single thing of that, because there are a lot of things that are confidential, so they have to kind of categorize it up. But that would be a possibility for the near future. Whatever. That was it for today's stream, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys again in another one. All right, guys? See you guys soon.